Good morning, Pomfret. Your first chapel speaker has visited 18 countries. Your second chapel speaker's dad's birthday is today, and it's his parents' 28th anniversary. And your third chapel speaker fought a kangaroo. Your chapel sandwich today is Emma Galvin, Jake Glickman, and Chloe Galvin. Enjoy.
Good morning, Pomfret. I've always been proud to call myself Australian despite moving so many times throughout my life. I've lived in Sydney, New York, Malaysia, and now New Jersey. If there's one thing that moving so many times has taught me, it's that I love traveling. The thought of staying in one place too long starts to feel claustrophobic after a while. I want to get out and explore the world, see what it has to offer. When I first moved to Malaysia, I wasn't even able to point to the country on a map, let alone prepared to move there. The cultural shock I received when I first moved was massive. Hearing the call to prayer in the morning or eating at an open-air restaurant serving local cuisine was a completely different experience that 12-year-old me wasn't prepared for. In spite of the differences Malaysia presented, I fell in love with the food, culture, architecture, climate, and much more. I never enjoyed saying goodbye to my friends or having to pack up all my belongings. And when I first learned that I was going to move to Malaysia, I was filled with dread. But if anything, my time in Malaysia taught me to love the country. The change Malaysia wrought onto my life was wildly different, yet completely welcome. 2 years ago, when I was still living in Australia, my parents broke the news that we would be moving to New Jersey. At that point, I'd only lived in Sydney for 3 years, but that was more than enough. There was no question that I'd miss my friends, my extended family, and my school, but moving to the US promised a change I was excited for. During all of my school interviews here in the US, there was a common question: why do you want to come to our school? Why boarding school? And I always struggled to answer that question. How could I properly articulate the new possibilities that a boarding school offered? Australia has nothing like Pomfret or any other preparatory school. The concept of living next door to my friends seemed straight out of a movie and something that I'd longed to experience for a while. But beyond that, there was an inextricable quality about boarding school that drew me in and kept me here. That's not to say I immediately loved boarding school life or that it was always perfect, but I did love how different it was. I still remember my first couple weeks here at Pomfret, as during that time, numerous people would come up to me and either pick up on my accent or my sister standing near me and would ask with excitement, "Are you the twins from Australia?" I had never considered being Australian particularly interesting, but moving here seemed to have made it one of my defining characteristics. On top of the numerous cultural shocks that America and boarding school brought, I'd grown so accustomed to people not caring about me being a twin or Australian that I was surprised by the interest. Over time, I got used to it though. I tried the fast food here, got to know my teachers, met my friends, and adapted to life at Pomfret as I settled in. After starting fresh at so many different schools, one would hope that I'd be better at it by now, that it would have become easier over time. Unfortunately, that isn't the case. Every time I start at a new school, I'm forced to step out of my comfort zone, which, as someone who's more introverted, I hate. Meeting new people and making new friends will always be stressful. Despite that, I still love moving countries and schools. I look at moving countries as a way to bring change into my life. The complete upheaval of when I move has acted as a change maker for me. As stressful as moving countries, starting a new school, making friends, packing, and all the challenges that come with moving halfway across the globe are, without those challenges and changes, I wouldn't be who I am today. And now for some gratitudes. Jenna, you're one of my best friends. Thank you for putting up with me these years. I'll miss you so much when I graduate. I love you. Lydia, I don't know what I'd do without you. Thank you for being such an amazing friend these last couple years, even when you're tricking people about what twin they're speaking to. I love you. To my siblings, Oscar, Chloe, and Matthew, I don't know what I'd do without you guys. There's never a dull moment with all of you, and I'm so thankful for that. Despite how annoying you can sometimes be, you all are the best siblings I could possibly ask for. I love you all more than you know. And to my parents, Dad, thank you for all you've done. It's allowed me to be where I am today. I've absolutely loved having you in my life, from watching bad movies to playing card games. I couldn't ask for a better parent. I love you more than words could ever express. Mom, I love you so much. Even if I don't say it enough, I want you to know how grateful I am for your unwavering love and support. I wouldn't be here without you and all the love you've given me, so thank you. I consider myself lucky that you're my mom. I'm Emma Galvin, a 3-year senior here on the Hilltop. Thank you, Pomfret.
Good morning, Pomfret. When I sat down to write my chapel speech, I struggled a lot to make it perfect. Perfectly funny, perfectly meaningful, perfectly written. But after a few failed attempts, I realized something. I don't need perfection, and that realization, that reminder to stop chasing perfection, is what my speech is about today. If you looked at me from an outside perspective, you might think I had it all figured out. I played varsity hockey for 3 years, I've done well in school, I've made some fantastic friends, and I'm proud of all those things. But what you wouldn't see are the parts of who I am and how I've gotten here that are imperfect, the parts that have shaped me the most. In 5th grade, my mom, my siblings, and I moved to Basel, Switzerland, while my dad stayed in the U.S. to finish his medical residency. Every morning, I'd take a 40-minute tram ride by myself from my apartment to and from school, and another to and from hockey. It was a lot for a 10-year-old, but it helped teach me independence at an early age, a trait I've carried with me ever since. In middle school, I barely had any friends. I was the weird kid, the one who didn't get invited places and who ate lunch alone every day. In fact, I can't remember hanging out with a single friend outside of school during those years. Every night when I got home, I'd lie on my bed with my dogs for hours until I'd have to leave for hockey. I dreaded every moment of every day, but I managed to get through it. I learned to appreciate the time I had alone for reflection and self-improvement. At the end of 8th grade, I became close with one of my best friends, Chase, and later in the fall of my freshman year, I met my other best friend, Justin. Things were shifting. I felt alive. I felt a sense of purpose. The 3 of us were inseparable, and the 2 of them helped me learn what true friendship really looks like. When I came to Pomfret in my sophomore year, things didn't exactly start easily. I was the 13th forward on the hockey team, a 5th liner, the guy who plays when someone misses the bus or forgets their skates. But I kept grinding, from every shift, every practice, every film session, and every mistake. Now, as a senior, I've developed my game in many ways. Through leadership and discipline, blocking shots and making sacrifices for the team, and I'm proud of how far I've come. Not because I became perfect, but because I stopped trying to be. Pomfret's taught me a lot about balance between academics, hockey, and a social life, but more than that, it's taught me about self-discovery. Here, I've been able to explore new passions like engineering and business while still pursuing old ones like hockey. Somewhere between the long study nights, locker room jokes, and advisory dinners, I realized that this place had become my home. That moment hit me in my sophomore year when I scored my first knapsack goal. I didn't know the puck went in at first, but hearing my teammates cheer louder than I ever had before, that was when I knew I belonged here. But this past year, something changed. Last spring, I reached a point where I realized that trying to look perfect, pretending to be fine all the time, had become too exhausting. So I reached out, and honestly, that was one of the most challenging decisions I've ever made. I was scared of how others would see me. I imagined that when people found out I was struggling mentally, they would think that I wasn't strong enough, that I had failed myself. Eventually, I built the courage to schedule a session with our school counselor, and over the summer, I began talking with therapists and doctors. I was diagnosed with anxiety and depression, and I started taking medication to try and improve my mental health. What surprised me most about opening up was the relief I felt once I was finally talking about it. Being vulnerable didn't make me weaker, it made me human. And it made me realize how many people actually cared. My teachers, my friends, my family. It truly showed me all the support I have with me through the good and the bad. I learned that you never really know what's going on in someone else's life. That's why kindness matters. A small act, a quick, "How are you?" or even just a smile can change someone's entire day. So if there's one thing I hope you take away from this speech, it's this. It's okay to reach out for help. It's okay not to be okay. And most importantly, it's brave, not weak, to admit that. Now for my gratitudes. First, to my advisors, Mr. and Mrs. Wilds, thank you for making Pomfret feel like home right away. There's nowhere else I'd rather escape D-Hall food with every Tuesday night. To my friends, teammates, and everyone else I've had along the way, especially Lily, Thank you for being my people. Pomfret hasn't always been easy to navigate, but you guys made it feel like home. I love you guys. To Coach Goethals and Coach Willannon, thank you for believing in me, for pushing me, and for giving me the chance to play the game I love. To my siblings, Daniel, you probably don't even know it, but I look up to you in so many ways. I admire how hard you work, but you still find time to have fun and travel. Rachel, I'll always miss our after-school tropical smoothie cafe runs during your senior year. Getting to know you has been a fantastic experience, and you are an amazing person. Ben, I know we are so different, but there's no one else I'd rather have as my closest friend. I can't wait to start visiting you more. I love you guys. To Mom and Dad, Mom, thank you for every sacrifice you've made. I know how hard you work, especially from Paris, and I'm so grateful from it. You've taught me to be kind to everyone, and that's a lesson I'll carry forever. Dad, thank you for everything you've done for me. You're my biggest role model, and I'll always cherish the hours we spent together driving to hockey. Every day I'm with you, I get a little wiser. I love you. Pomfret, thank you for teaching me that perfection isn't the goal. Being real is. And sometimes being real means admitting when things aren't okay, and trusting that you'll be met with love and support when you do. My name is Jake Glickman, and I'm a 3-year senior here on the Hilltop.
Good morning, Pomfret. Over time, I found that there are a few questions that follow me wherever I go. Questions like, where are you from, or where do you live? And more recently, where are you going next? And obviously the classic, which twin are you again? My response to most of these questions has always been the same. I'd smile and answer simply, not thinking too much about the repetitive question or the even more repetitive response. These questions always felt like part of a script. I mean, it has been years since I've heard a unique question or joke about being a twin. I have found that all these questions come with being part of a community. Everyone is curious about those around them. Although I feel like these seemingly basic questions all revolve around finding out where someone belongs. Recently, I've started to consider what the simple question of where do you live is asking. My go-to answer for this question has always been Australia, but at different times it has been Malaysia, New York, New Jersey, and most recently, Pomfret. I've lived in a variety of houses all over the world, yet I've realized that, although cliche, my home isn't an address. So when someone asks, where do I live, I stop considering my geographical location and instead think of where I belong. What is the one place where you can be yourself? I've moved around the world 4 times now, and yet when I think of home, I don't think of the country I was born in or the house I live in. Instead, I think of the people that surround me. I think of my family, who has always been there for me, my friends, who make every new location worth it, and the countless coaches and teachers who put in the extra effort. My dad has often asked if I consider a new place home yet. Have I settled into this new location enough that it has become home in my mind? But I found that I could be sleeping on a mattress on the floor, our furniture still being shipped, and consider that place home because of the people who fill it. And with our most recent move back to the US, my dad asked this question again, yet this time he was asking if I consider New Jersey home, despite the majority of my time being spent at Pomfret. Even having only spent a few weeks in the new house, it still felt like my home, because no matter if I didn't spend most of my year living there, it was still one of the places that I could fully relax and be surrounded by my family. Everyone has those people that they consider family, blood-related or not, and it's those people that make any place feel that much better. There have been countless people who have stood up to this podium thanking a teacher who became like their parent away from home, or who have mentioned how their advisory group has become like a family. It's those connections that have made Pomfret more like a home. The knowledge that even though Pomfret might not be where most people's houses are, it has become a place where they belong. One of the key features of Pomfret, which is talked about and displayed for any tour group that comes onto campus, is the sense of community. And from the first time I heard a chapel talk, I have listened to countless gratitudes, thanking the people who made them happy, loved, or understood. I often find myself reflecting on what makes one place more enjoyable than another, whether it's the climate, activities, or buildings. What family vacation or holiday has been the most enjoyable? Yet each time I start ranking my favorite experiences, I start to focus more on who I was with than where I was. Hour-long drives through the Australian outback are just as enjoyable as relaxing by a pool in Italy, because I'm spending time with those people who make me feel happy and loved. And so for each new country that I move to, it's easy to start calling it my new home, because to me, it couldn't matter less where I am as long as I'm surrounded by the people that can make any place feel welcoming. And now for my gratitudes. Lydia, you have made my time at Pomfret so much fun. There isn't anything that I wouldn't want to do with you. And Jenna, thank you for always being so full of energy. It's always a highlight of my day when we hang out. I'm so glad that you two are my best friends. I love you guys so much. Oscar, Emma, and Matthew, you guys are the best siblings that I could ever want. Some of my happiest memories come from you guys. I love you all more than I can say, and I can't wait until we're together again. To my dad, I don't know what I'd do without you. Thank you for always bringing a smile to my face. I love you so much. And Mom, I love you more than anything, even when it might not seem like it. I look up to you more than anything. My name is Chloe Galvin, and I'm a 3-year senior on the Hilltop. Thank you.
Good morning, Pomfret. It's great to see us all gathered here today at the start of another week. And once again, I want to thank our senior speeches. Emma, who spoke about the idea that change can present challenges and also be a catalyst for growth. To Jake, who spoke about bravery and strength being the qualities that you need to admit when things aren't all right on the path to things becoming so. And to Chloe, who talked about the concept of home as a place of belonging where you can settle into truly being yourself. So with a great deal of gratitude and excitement and looking ahead to the week that we have in front of us, I'll ask our senior speakers, to lead us out of the chapel.